Yeah, hello. So myself, Sivasankar Sukla. So I have completed my graduation from BTech SRM University in Computer Science. After that, I would join SysCloud as a software engineer. There I used to work on it, developing solutions on AWS, React, Node.js. So these were the main tech stack which I usually worked on. Apart from that, I also have experience on working on Grafana visualization tool as well as liquid-based deployment tool. So this is about myself. In this video, we are going to discuss about how to deploy our application uh, uh, to server. Okay, so I'll just give a brief. What is this application? This is a just a basic recruiter application built on React as a front end and Express.js as a back end, which is basically connecting to the Postgres database and returning the data whatever is required to show in the front end. So I'll just go through each and every step how to deploy our application. I hope and will provide the GitHub link where you can go and check the actual code. So I'll start sharing my screen. I hope my screen is visible. So this is the GitHub repository where you can go and find the repository for this particular project. So this is the base repository where the front end code will be available, basic recruitment tool. And yeah. So this is the repository where our actual Node JS, Node Express JS code would be there, which is hosted on EC2 instance, and we are using NGINX as a reverse proxy engine and PM2 as a process manager to start also. And yeah, so okay, we are adding SSL as well to our uh, hosted application. So we'll go through all the steps one by one. So the first step would be okay, clone this in your environment. Okay, clone this repo into your environment and create your own public repository or private repository. It's totally on you into your GitHub account and publish this code by changing the database details as well as the uh, okay. I'll just go through. Open this in VS Code. Yeah. So if you see the environment file here, we need to define which code we want to our server run and then database details. So first I'll just brief you how to deploy or this RDS data, Postgres database into the RDS instance. So for that you need to log in into AWS account. So once you are logged in into AWS account, you need to uh, go to RDS. So search for, you can always search here or you can use the below uh, shortcuts to go to the particular service. Okay, once you will come to this RDS console, you can see the DB instances. So here, this will list all the databases which you have in your server. So this is my current database, which is running on RDS, and the engine is selected as a Postgres. So if you want to create a new database, you can click on create database. Okay, and select Postgres based on your requirement, whether it is SQL Server, Oracle, or whatever you want to select. You can select here, and then here the engine by default latest version will be selected. So leave it. So okay, if you are doing this just for learning purpose, you can select free trial so that it won't cost you anything, and you can specify the database identifier name and username, and then password. Here you can define whatever password you want to use, and then automatically since it is under free tier, right? So automatically this 20 GB is allocated for a free tier RDS instance. If you want to increase more, then RDS is going to charge you based on your storage. If you want, you can enable auto scaling into the storage, but since we are in free tier, I will disable it. Okay, we can define the VPC here as well as subnet group. If we can also define whether we want to give a public access to this RDS instance or not, and we can define a security group. So you can always select any security group and make sure that security group is allowing the traffic which whatever it is, right, or allowing the public traffic in order to connect to this instance from outside, from anywhere. So if you are not allowing other traffics to come into RDS system, you won't be able to connect it outside your VPC. So inside a security group, you must ensure that it is accepting all the traffics in order to make sure that you are able to connect to the local host. And then you can decide availability zone. I can just keep it as a US East one. So RDS proxy is another polling layer at the top of RDS. If you want to create, the RDS provides polling by itself. You can do it. And so currently we are not choosing it. Database port is fine. Authentication you can decide, and then if you want performance insights of your RDS instance, like how is it performing, you can enable it. But I'll disable it here. So this is all you need to do, right? So if you click create database, this will create a. If I click here, okay, I need to give password. So we need to follow the password policies which they have set to, and just hit create database. So it will create a database instance for you. So if you once database created, you will be able to see the status as available. And okay, so once the database is created, right? So if you see the database one, here you can see the endpoint of your database, which will help you to connect to the database. So this is the endpoint for me, and the password, whatever you have said, you'll have to use that, and username is Postgres. So I'll just open dweaver. So dweaver is a public uh, open source tool which helps us to manage Postgres database or whatever type of it is. Right? So you can see your actual tables, actual schema into using this open source tool. It will take some time to open it, so let's wait for that. Okay, well, so till now we have set up our database. Okay, and what we have set up our database, and we are good to go with the Express API. So this is the code. I'll just brief. Uh, so if you go through this, you'll be able to understand what is happening inside the code. So this is the basic uh, Express API, which is using these of the middlewares in order to serve the request to front end, and then it has a simple uh, it has few routes as well, so which is defined here to in order to update, fetch, and insert data into the database. So this is basically it about this is all about this uh, Express. So okay, let's see if it is open. Yeah. Okay. So for this basic recruiter tool, okay, we need some information. We need to schema. So what you can do here, you can expand the databases. If you have created a new database, you won't be able to see this recruitment DB. So you can click on databases, create new databases, and write the name of database and change the table space to default. So once you click on OK, it will create a database for you. Inside the database, you can go to schema and create a schema, like DBO schema, or you can always use public schema as well. So you can open a editor, SQL editor like this. So it will open a new editor for you, so, and you can uh, make use of these SQL commands to create a table. So this candidate information table will have a candidate ID, which is a unique ID. Okay, set as a primary key here, and it is an increment ID in the Postgres. And then first name, middle name, last name, all the necessary or basic information of a customer. It will contain how much experience he has in Node and how much experience he has in React. Okay, since we have one more requirement to compute the to calculate the computed score of a user based on his Node or React experience, we are making use of auto-generated columns to do that. So if you see the table, right? So React experience and Node experience is defined in months. Okay. So if uh, even user is filling the form into years, we are defining it into months. Okay, once it is done, we'll create the auto-generated column in order to calculate the computed score. So this is the command to create auto-generated column, right? Alter table and add a column name, then data type of the column generated always as, and this is the logic to calculate the computed score. So if the node experience is less than 1 year, then the score is 1. Greater than 12 or less than equals to 24 years, it means in between 1 to 2 years, then 2. And if it is over 2 years, then it is 3. Similarly for React as well, and addition of these two experience comes as a computed score. So which is shown here in the column computed score. Okay, so this is about the Postgres setup. So once it is done, you can always you can go to this thing, right? Okay, so to set up this Express API in local, you just have to clone this using the GitHub URL, and you have to install all the dependencies. And if you run it, right? So if I go to terminal, it will open on terminal. So till now, you have cloned it and it did npm install. So now if you done npm run start, right? Do this thing. Okay, it has started a server which is running on port 3000. So you can go to browser or Postman, right? Whatever is your preferred thing, and use this HTTP local host 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. 3000. Okay. So see, this is the one he is returning a response that hello, I'm API, let me move on to it. So this is the basic first path. So it means that our API is working into the local, and what we can do to host to into AWS, not AWS, EC2 instance. Okay, so to host this we'll have to yeah, to host this we'll have to launch an EC2 instance. So once we launch EC2 instance, we'll be able to deploy this API and make it and use this whenever we need it. Right. Okay, so again, we'll to create an EC2 instance, just a second. We'll have to go to the EC2 console and create it. Okay. Uh, just, okay. So to launch an EC2 instance, we'll go to the AWS console and go to the EC2 service. So and click on instances. So if you see here, there is already one instance running for me. So if you do not have any instance running, you can click on launch instance, uh, which will just redirect you to this page. Here you can mention the server name and select the AMI which you want to use for your server, and then instance type, and then key pair, and then all the networking. So here you'll have to allow all the HTTP and HTTPS traffic to our EC2 instance, and then we can configure the SSD for our EC2 instance and click on launch instance, which will create a EC2 instance for us, which will be visible here to us. So since whenever we restart an EC2 instance or reboot EC2 instance, so this public IP gets changed. So to avoid that, we'll attach an elastic API, elastic IP to the EC2 instance. So you can go to the elastic IP, and we can allocate one like elastic IP address to us by just clicking here, and if you click on allocate, it will create a elastic IP. And so once elastic IP is created, we can always associate this elastic IP to our EC2 instance, whatever we have created. So once this is done, we'll connect to our EC2 instance. So to connect to our EC2 instance, what you can do is click on connect and then SSH client. So this is the command which you will get to connect to your EC2 instance, so which is mentioned here. Okay, SSHIE and then your key value pair file, and then the Ubuntu and Ubuntu EC2 instance IP address. Okay, so I'll just open the terminal and copy this command into this this express API. Okay, let's see if we have where okay in this path we have our expressive feature. So mm, we'll go to that path and then we'll run this command again. in this. Okay, so now it is connected to our Ubuntu instance. So if you do ls, you can see the Express API is already available here. So if you yeah, before cloning the repo, will have to run these commands in order to update all the packages. So we can execute these commands, which will install the Node.js as well as update the packages which we already have. So once the installation is done, we can clone this. Uh, we can clone our code using the git command. And once it is cloned, similar to the local host, whatever we did, right? So we'll have to install the dependencies in order to use our API. And then process manager on Ubuntu instance. So if you execute it in your system, right? And so till the time it is executing, it will work. So once you close this terminal, the API won't work. So for that purpose, we are using PM2 process manager in order to make it running every time. So this PM2.json file helps us to uh, configure this. So we can provide the name of our server and what is our entry point to this application. We can define that, and we can define the number of instances and what is the execution mode we want to run it, and then output file and there are file details. Okay, so once this file is created, so we can run this command in order to start the process manager. So once we run this command, you'll be able to uh, call the APIs and you'll be able to get the response from the uh, terminal. So if I do PM2 list, right, so this will list out all the instances which is running for me to serve the request for this application. So yeah, till now we have set up PM2 and everything. So now what will happen? So okay, we will be able to make use of public API of EC2 and make an API calls. But since our front end is hosted on Amplify and on a secured route, so it won't allow us to make a call to unsecured route. So we'll have to secure this HTTP route which for where our application is running. So for that we can go to any site. So I have used this in order to register a free domain. So you can search if the free domain is available or not. So once the availability is confirmed, you just need to log in and get the domain name. Once we get the domain name, we can proceed further. Okay. So once we get the domain name, we need to add the DNS record for of elastic IP address, whatever we allocated to our EC2 instance. So this is the two step we need to perform while creating the free domain. So once the free domain is created, we need to install the NGINX in our server, and we need to make some changes into our on this file. Okay, so if I open this file into this thing, if I copy this, okay, you can use either Vim or Nano, where whatever you are familiar with. So I use Vim. So we'll open this file in edit mode in order to show what are the changes you have to do. So whatever the domain name we have registered, we'll have to provide that as a server name here in this file. And in the location, we'll have to provide the local host and the port where or application is running as a proxy path. And then these are the other information we need to provide. So once it is done, you just have to, we just have to save it. Okay. WQ, right? So once this file is created, we can, so this is the setting which you have to do. So once it is done, we can just check whether it is fine or not by just running this command if there is any syntactic error or something, just to test. And once everything is fine, we can start. Okay. So now if you, so till this point, if you make any call using your uh, domain which you have registered in NGINX, so you'll be able to make an API calls to our application. But yeah, if you won't be able to make a secured call to our server until and unless you'll add a SSL to that. So this is the script which will help us to add the SSL. So once we execute these scripts, we'll be able to execute the calls to using secured route. So this is all about hosting the Express application. So if I show you um, the actual path which I am running now, just to take this, yes, yes, dot, so this is giving the same response, but if you see this right, so this connection is secure and everything else is fine. So this is all about hosting our backend into an EC2 instance. And next we'll check how we can execute or how we can host our front end to the Amplify. Yeah. So to set up this in local, you just have to clone this repo and npm do npm install, and if you do npm start, then it will launch an local host direct application for us. Okay, so in order to deploy this and host into application, host this application with the Amplify, we'll have to push the code somewhere that it could be code commit or GitHub, and then log into AWS console and go to Amplify. Just brief once, Amplify. So this is the one which I have hosted here. Okay, so to host a new application, you can click on this and host a web app. So here we'll have to select which or where we have put our code. So we can select GitHub and continue. So if it is not authorized, it will pop up an window where you'll have to enter username and password in order to authorize your GitHub account with the AWS. If it is already authorized, you'll be redirected to this page. So here we can select the repositories, whatever we have. So we have to select this repository where we have put our front-end code. So once we select the repository, we will be getting an option to select the branch. So in the branch, I have selected, we have selected main. So you can select whatever the branch your main code is present, and then click on next. Okay, so here it will give some basic commands for builds, yeah, build spec. Okay, so we can edit on, we can add any commands if we want to add here, or we can just run it by default. Okay, you can just save it and click on next. Okay, so here you can review all the details and save and deploy. So once we click on save and deploy, it will uh, create a application for us. Okay, so similar to this, where it will provide a domain. By using that, we can access our application. So if I click on this, So I'll be able to access my application like this. So this is the basic recruitment tool, which helps recruiters to manage the candidate information. So if we click on get started, it will redirect us to a form where we can fill the candidate details. Like this. And so these all the properties that are marked with star as the required properties. So we'll have to provide that. Without providing that, it will not work. Here we can do the skills and we can select the experience of node. So let's see. Okay, so based on these experience, the computer score will be calculated. So if you click on submit the form, it will redirect me to, and there will be a message candidate added successfully, and it will redirect to me here where I can see the name of the candidate which I just added. Okay, and this would be the computer score based on the node and uh, experience, node and React experience. So let's say if we want to update the status, we either we can select all the candidates or we can select uh, two or three, whatever number of candidates you want to select. And once we select that, update option will come. So this will open a form where we can set the status of the information, all the candidates, and once we click on confirm, it will update the status and show the candidates list here in this part. So this is all about this basic recruitment tool. Thank you.